Hey everybody, sabadi, satu. Welcome back to the Healthy Sandwich. I am going to be putting up this video as I think it's pretty important that people should have this basic skill set that I think a lot of people have forgotten about because it was something that was taught briefly in social science or social studies when you're a kid in elementary school. This forgotten skill is about map reading. So map reading is pretty important, especially to navigate. These days we all have GPS and everybody's using that, but with technology, when it's gone, it should be a skill that you should have that's innate and not rely heavily on your technology because it can fail. Unless you like to talk to people, but if you're out somewhere and you're isolated, it's something you should have. And guess what? I'm putting myself in that mess! Yes, this weekend I am planning on going to the White Mountains to go hiking and camping. I have to say that my camping and hiking buddies, or people who've always come with me back then, have pretty much gone their separate ways, and life gets to us. Things happen. But it's a passion that I've always had and I like to do. So I came about this book. This here is something I got well back in about 2007. This is the White Mountain Guide. I already opened it and unpacked it to look at it and see what was going on, as I want to kind of go further into what really is in this here. Now what comes in this is a really neat package. It costs about $25, but when I got it back in 2007 it cost about almost $40, and I was wondering why it was so expensive, and there's a reason why. So $40 a decade ago is about $50 now. So I got it for half the price, and like, why is it costing half the price? Well, the book is the same, just about. It's pretty detailed. So this book here kind of tells you all the trails that you're going in, what to expect, the difficulty level, what sights you're going to see, what the sightseeing is. Let's see. Let's say Sawyer River Trail. There's a lot of up and down, the level, grade, what percentage and how high you're going to be climbing at about per feet, and how long on average it takes for the trail, for somebody to hike the trail. And it kind of tells you where to turn and all these trailheads to look out for. So it's a really good detailed thing, and I really liked it. At the very end, there was the 4,000 footer club. There was a checklist, but this one here is not really a checklist, but just has a date that says when you climbed the 4,000 footer. There are about 48 4,000 footers in New Hampshire. 48 4,000 footers in New Hampshire, 14 of them in Maine, and 5 of them in Vermont. So basically anything over 4,000 feet sea level. Now, are you going to start at 0 feet and go at 4,000? Not necessarily. You're going to start a little higher, obviously, because you're driving up mountains and all that stuff there. But a lot of times you're starting pretty low. You might be close to like 1,000 feet or something like that, and you're climbing up 3,000 feet. But still, 3,000 feet may not sound like a lot, but you accomplish something because that's a pretty high height. Here in New England, Appalachians, the highest point is Mount Washington, 6,228 feet. So anything above 8,000 feet, you do have to climatize. So like out west, when you're going out west, those mountains are over 10,000 feet on average for the Rockies. So, if you hit like 8,000, you better start climatizing, or else you can get sick, mountain sickness pretty quickly. So it usually takes about a day or so for somebody to climatize and get used to the altitude. So the other thing, what makes this book so expensive and leading to the skill of map reading are the maps that are in here. So there are maps that come in, and I noticed immediately once I pulled out the maps. This one here says Carter Range, North County. I've done a couple mountains in this range, I'll show you in a second. This one here is Crawford Notch, which I've done, Moosilauckli. That one there, I've done a couple trails in there. But this is the one that I primarily go to. It's double-sided on the map. I noticed immediately when I touched it, is the reason why it was so expensive back then was it was made of Tyvek. So Tyvek is this waterproof material, paper thin, and it's breathable, so it doesn't, paper this is paper. There's a problem with this here. Immediately I was like, oh, no wonder it was so expensive back then. So this paper trail map is gonna be a problem. When you start pulling it, all these little edges that it folded at, they get crinkled over some time. So you're gonna lose details, things, important things that are on these maps, little numbers that are, this is upside down by the way, because I'm looking at the upside part. You heard that? That's like already the map about to rip somewhere at some place. So since I'm gonna go hiking, the weather says it's supposed to be nice this weekend in the area that I was looking at, but you never know. Mountains, weather changes immediately. So I'm gonna bring a paper bag, I'm going to bring a plastic bag so that way I can have the map in there safely. I'm gonna actually fold it to the location I'm gonna go and hike around, and so that way it's easy accessible and I don't have to open it if my hands are wet or anything like that. I just quickly read it and navigate my way through. Obviously I'm gonna be writing stuff down so that way going to location I have Metro PCS, and Metro's data plan may not be up there in the mountains. I may get lost, especially going to the site, so I'm just going to write it down too. I'm going to do my research going up to it. So all these red lines and all that stuff there are the trails that I'll be hiking to the location. So there are legends that are up here we should read and understand what's going on, but I like to look at the numbers that are on the reds, and basically it tells you how long of a distance you have to go there to the location that you're looking at. So each trail section has a number next to it. So if you see a trail section it says 1.5, it is 1.5 miles to do that section. If you have to take a turn, you'll see that turn, it'll mark it about 0.3. So again, you now did 1.5 plus 0.3, making 1.8. And let's say you got another 2.1 to your peak, to get to the peak. So now you already have 1.8 plus 2.1, you're looking at 3.9 miles. So it's 4 miles just to get to the peak, and then you have to consider the descent, how long that's going to be. I'm going to go a little bit further into the map reading and what location that I'm going to be taking to go by myself. This is going to be fun. So old hiking buddies back in the day, Tui, you're out in Boston. Good luck, man. I love what you're doing. SP, Spanky, you're out in Texas. You got your food truck. Good luck with what you're doing. Dorothy, you're out doing your own thing. Best of luck with everything you're doing too. Mac, my nephew, you're doing your own thing. You kind of didn't want to go with me anyway, so good luck with what you're doing. Anywho, let's get to the map. So here's going to be an example of a trail that I did with Tui 3 years ago, I'd say. And we did Liberty Mountain, and we started here. As actually somewhere, I think the trailhead was here, sorry. We started here, we went up this way, which wasn't that hard to do. And we started going up the ascent, very high, past where there's a camping area, tents, and then turned down to the mountain here. You see that it's 4,459 feet in elevation, the mountain itself. And then we, at some point we said, hey, do we want to go back or we want to loop? And we decided, hey, let's go to Flume Mountain. And then we decided to go down, which was not recommended, and I'll explain why. Even as experienced hikers should never have done it, but we said, yeah, we're experienced and we would do it anyway. So we traveled down around and came back down to our car parking lot here. So basically you see these numbers here. So coming from this parking area here, going up was 0.7 miles, and then you add 0.6 onto that, so now you're at 1.3. Sorry for my math if it's not right. This little arrow says it's the Appalachian Trail mountain. So this is part of the Appalachian Trail. So it just, they go from mountain to mountain, just keep following the Appalachian Trail. A lot of people just go from mountaintop to mountaintop doing Appalachian Trail. So anyway, 1.3, now on to 2.3, added that. So we're at 3.6 and got to the mountaintop there. And then it was 1.5 miles over here. So you already have 5.1 miles. So we said, hey, when we got over here, we're like, do we want to go 5.1 miles to go all the way back? Or do you want to do 3.3, 3.9, and then 4.6? So we're like, let's shave off like half a mile or something like that and go down the Flume Trail. So I'm going to use my tattoo chair to kind of illustrate the decline of the Flume Mountain. So if you're going down the mountain here, you see that it's pretty steep in a way. This is actually not that bad. This is actually a good, I would actually step on this not have an issue. The problem was when we went down to Flume, it was very much like this. Imagine trying to step and get your foot in there. Have your foot like this, and you can't have it. You know, there's not much. There were times where, you know, it was good like this here. So when you're stepping on rocks, there was a lot of times it was very loose. So the Flume, Mount Flume, so up here, you're not really going down much, but you can see it was not recommended because we were going down so much. So every line indicates so many hundred feet, okay? So you can actually look at this here. So there are 5 lines. So it goes from 3,000 to 3,500 feet. So that's an elevation gain between these 5 lines of 500 feet. So if you want to look at how many lines there were from the tip of the mountain, so you got 1, my hand's a little not steady, but let's go there. 1 line right here, this little tiny one here. 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 500 feet right there. 6, 7, 8, 9. So this darker line here, that's 900 feet already, and 1,000 feet. So in a short distance, you drop down 1,000 feet. That is a pretty significant drop in height. So you can see that it takes even from Mount Liberty up this trail here. When you're going up this trail, 9 lines is a pretty long distance. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's your 1,000 feet. So you can see the distance. So 1,000 feet was this distance here, and 1,000 feet was just this little strip. So when me and Tui were walking down the mountain, our descent of Flume Mountain, that was an insane, it was really not recommended for even experienced hikers, but we looked at each other. Hey Tui, do you want to go back 5.4 miles back to our car? He looked at me. Or do you want to do 3.7 miles to go back to the car? I think 3.7 is better. So we looked at each other and we were like, all right, it's not recommended by experienced hikers. And we're just like, but even the best ones can do it. I'm like, okay, well, we're pretty experienced. We've been hiking since we've been 18, probably a little bit younger. I think it was 18 when I first started hiking. We're about 40, so we're like, you know what? It's been about 12 years we've been hiking, so let's do it. I think we're pretty experienced. I think so. Let's go. 22 years we've been hiking. Wow. All right, so this is what I'm planning on doing for my hike. So this is a main road here. This is Kangamangas Highway. I was looking at this mountain. I looked at it. It's 4,000 footer, Mount Pasacana Way. I have never done this mountain, so this looks like something that I can do. It looks like a loop trail too. Basically, it's a loop. You can kind of loop around and kind of go back. So a lot of times you don't always go they go front and back, in and out. They mean kind of go in and you go back the same way, or you kind of loop around. There's multiple loops, but I kind of want to make it short because I'm going by myself. I mean, I could hit this mountain here on the way back and then kind of, you know, make it a little bit longer, but I don't really feel like doing it that much. And there is a side road that comes this way and it's kind of a bit windy, and it starts going into unpaved road over here. So this is paved, the highway is obviously paved, and then it's just basically dirt road here. So the dirt road kind of goes all the way in, and if I'm looking at it right, nope, that one is the wrong road. See, I would have actually gone here. The dirt road looks like it already starts immediately, so I would have to do this whole dirt road to bring myself all the way up to here, get off onto Pasacana Way, cut off, and this whole strip starting from here to here is 1.7 miles. So if I were to get it off around here, that's probably 0.3, I'm assuming. So I'm probably doing about 1.4 miles from the car when I get off. So 1.4. Add 0.7 on top of that, that's 4.1, half a mile up here, 2.7, 3.4, whatever this is, probably 0.2, 0.3, I'm gonna say 0.3, let's add a half. Let's go at half of that. So 3.4, 3.9, almost 4 miles already, and then back this way again. So it's a good 6-7 mile hike, this loop right here. I don't have my calculator on me, but I'm assuming it's going to be 6 miles, 6 or 7 miles. Now, the way I've always looked at it is that I'm going up the ascent here. Usually it takes about an hour per mile going up, and going down, because you want to be careful on your footing and all that stuff there, it's got to be about half a mile. You're doing about half an hour per mile. So going up, I always see how long it's going to take me. So whatever my calculation was that go up this way to the top of the mountain was how many hours I expect to be on the trail. So again, 1.4, 2.1, and then 2.7. So about 3 hours on the trail, I'm assuming that I'll be up here. And then I'm gonna do half a mile this way, or even a full mile this way. So that's half an hour here. So 3.5 miles, 3.5 hours. And then say about, I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna be on a trail for about 5 hours, 5-6 hours, give or take. That's usually been my speed, but I'm gonna be alone, so it's all mental at this point here. So I'm gonna see how fast I do travel. And usually when I'm traveling with groups, with my friends and all that stuff there, it's not that I'm going slow. I'm always looking out for each other. We have to look out for each other. You don't leave somebody behind. That should be the rule when you're hiking with somebody. So basically that is my trip. That was pretty much it there. Shout out to all my friends again who hiked with me before, and life gets to all of us. So hopefully we can meet up at some time and go hiking again, but otherwise, hopefully you can get some information from this and read your own map. So when you go out there, I would highly recommend preparing everything prior to going. You know, print it out, driving up to a location if you have no cell service, so you can get lost driving, and then of course have your map put in a baggie as well, so that way it doesn't get wet and you can read it. Obviously if it's Tyvek, you don't have to worry about that. It's waterproof, it's breathable, the printing of it won't go away, so it's a really good material, but it costs more for a reason. And now to read those maps, I kind of gave you a quick breakdown. I didn't show you the legends, but I kind of showed you intervals and contours going up the mountain, how to go about, and of course you should navigate when you're looking at the lines, kind of position yourself, put yourself in that position to see if there's a fork in the road. So if the map was going this way and you see a fork like this, obviously you're standing at the fork. This is the left, this is your right. Okay, so you're kind of going this way, so you have to kind of position yourself. But people can't do that all the time. There are some positional things that people don't have the ability to do, but I'm just giving you a heads up as how to kind of look at it. A lot of us are reliant on technology. All right, that's all I really got to say for all of you. Hopefully you got something really good out of this. All right, everybody, Satu, Sokti. I would like to see you on the mountains as well. Peace.